Don't think I've ever seen Marco Rubio get this fired up. Watch as he explodes at Representative Meeks over the USAID cuts and the foreign policy decisions the Trump administration is making. You guys have to check this out.
At the State Department.
Almost every day if I'm in the country. I travel a lot. It's part of the job.
So how much time do you spend at the other jobs if you spend every day at the State Department?
Well, now you know I can't offer you 8 hours today to answer every question on this committee, which you were complaining about earlier.
Did you anticipate or did you want, when you were sworn in to be the Secretary of State, do you want to have the jobs of USAID administrator?
No, I did not apply for those jobs. I was asked to serve in those roles, and I'm happy to do it. The archives are doing great.
Based upon your testimony earlier, in some of these other departments, they were duplicative. So if it's duplicative, then get rid of them.
Well, you would have to pass a law to do that if you want to combine those 4 offices in your reorg.
Trying to figure something out. I know you said you read a lot of cables every day, and I know that when you first got sworn in at your confirmation hearing, you stated that being the Secretary of State would be an extraordinary responsibility. Here we are 4 minutes later, but reading cables every day. How much time do you spend at the State Department?
How much what?
How much time? How focused at the State Department?
Almost every day if I'm in the country. I travel a lot. It's part of the job.
I agree. I understand. But now you have 4 jobs, don't you? Now you're not only the Secretary of State, you are also the acting USAID administrator. You're also the acting archivist. You're also the interim national security advisor. You cannot spend every day at the State Department and then neglect your other jobs that you have the responsibility to do. So how much time do you spend at the other jobs if you spend every day at the State Department?
Well, now you know I can't offer you 8 hours today to answer every question on this committee, which you were complaining about earlier. Look, here's the thing. All those jobs are being done. USAID largely has been folded into the... Do you want my answer? Do you want to...
No, I just want to know this. Did you anticipate or did you want, when you were sworn in to be the Secretary of State, do you want to have the jobs of USAID administrator?
No, I did not apply for those jobs. I was asked to serve in those roles, and I'm happy to do it. The archives are doing great. The USAID has been folded under state, so it's a sort of a duplicative role. And the National Security Advisor, which is on an interim basis, has tremendous overlap with what we're doing at the State Department.
Well, then why not get rid of all of them and just put everything under you? Get rid of all those departments. If it's not crucial to have someone every day at as a National Security Advisor, you folded in USAID, you saying the archives is fine, get rid of them. Wouldn't that be then waste? Based upon how you have determined there's waste, based upon your testimony earlier, in some of these other departments, they were duplicative. So if it's duplicative, then get rid of them.
Well, you would have to pass a law to do that if you want to combine those 4 offices in your reorg.
Well, look, that hasn't stopped you in the past because the law requires you to consult with Congress on any proposed reorganization of USAID or the State Department. That hasn't happened. I agree. It should be the Congress's responsibility. Your staff claimed, quote, that you've extensively consulted Congress on your plan to fold USAID into state. But that did not happen. All we members have gotten was 1 hour of a meeting with Pete Morocco, who you later fired and who couldn't answer our most basic questions about the aid freeze. And you've ignored thus far. That's why I want to know about you've ignored nearly 20 letters from this committee seeking information about who, since you took office, as well as, we spoke one time, but not consulting this committee at all. I don't call that extensive consultation. So you're right. Things that you've done should be in collaboration with the United States Congress. But surely the USAID and all of these other things was not, Congress was not consulted one time. Senator Rubio would have demanded it.
Well, we've complied with every part of the law. Every single part of the law has been complied with, including, you, for example, have written us 16 letters You've been briefed on 7 of them. Some of them we couldn't answer, and we told you why we couldn't answer, because they were subject to litigation. 4, you've gotten answers in writing, and 5 we've gotten just in the last few days. Well, 16 letters. I've been there 17 weeks. You write me a letter a week.
I'm going to yield my last.
Where for the first time since the end of the Cold War, the United States had a near-peer competitor and adversary in the state of China. And we need to confront that. And our foreign policy needs to be geared around that and on the realities of this new world. And so what that means is we have to have a State Department that can deliver on a foreign policy that is rooted in the national interest of the United States. To defend the national interest of the United States requires us, number one, to make sure that every dollar we spend and every action we take has to have measurable outcomes that deliver for the American people. They have to either make our country safer, or they have to make our country stronger, or they have to help make our country more prosperous. It has to do at least one of those 3 things. And ideally, whether it's a program or a measure that we take, it should do all 3 of them. Now, what that means is that there are some great causes in the world. There really are. There are some great causes. There are some horrifying things that are happening on the planet. America cannot solve every single one of them. What we need to focus on is prioritizing our foreign policy to those areas that are in our national interest. Now, we will still remain the largest contributor of foreign aid and humanitarian assistance on this planet by far. The United States, even under the budget that's before you today, and the changes we have made, will still contribute more in foreign aid than the next 10 countries combined, than the entire OECD. The next closest country is not China, it's Germany, and it's way behind us, even now. But that foreign aid has to be geared towards our national interests. We need to design a State Department that delivers on that. Yes, we canceled a bunch of contracts in USAID. Some were stupid and outrageous. Others didn't serve the national interest, and others we kept. And we are folding it under the Department of State. And you know why? Because we want it to be part of the toolbox of foreign policy, not a standalone. It is not charity. Foreign aid is not charity. It is designed to further the national interest of the United States. So we will do humanitarian assistance, we will do food assistance, we will do developmental assistance, and we will do security assistance, but we will do it driven by our embassies and our regional bureaus. Because what those issues mean look very different in Guatemala than they may in Chad, or in Kenya, or in some other part of the world in the Indo-Pacific. And so one of the things that we have tried to do in our reorganization is drive power and influence on policymaking and decision-making to the regional bureaus and ultimately to our embassies. Our embassies, our ambassadors, are the front line of American foreign policy. The most important thing I do every single day is not read memos, it's read cables. Every night I get 10, 15 select cables from stations around the world, different embassies. The best ideas in that building come from the ground up from our embassies. Now, I want to tell you something else. Look, I did serve in the Senate for a long time, so this is a new job to me. When I got there, I'd get a memo. I still get these memos. I should have brought one today. In order for an idea to reach me, a decision to reach the Secretary of State, some of these things have to be checked off by 40 people, 40 boxes. And if any one of these people has a question, they can hold it up before the idea even ever gets to me. Now, that sounds like a crazy thing to begin with. We can't afford it in the 21st century. We have to be able to move very quickly. And a case in point is what happened last week. Syria, under a new authority, granted people with some checkered background, is on the verge of collapse potentially. And if it collapses, it will devolve into civil war. And civil war will mean that it will become a playground for ISIS and other jihadists, not to mention Iranian influence coming back in. So there's no guarantee that by outreach and working with the transitional authority in Syria, things are going to work out. It may work out, it may not work out. But if we don't reach out and try, it's guaranteed to not work out. And so we had to move very quickly to action that. If we had not done sanctions relief last week, and now the EU has followed suit, then our partners in the region could not have provided donor dollars so that transitional authority could try to stabilize its governance of the country. That place could have collapsed within weeks and become an ISIS playground once again. There is no way that a traditional system could have delivered on that. It would have gone to the interagency. It would have gone to 6 to 9 months of debate. Any individual could have held it up with an information hold, and we never would have acted. We can't afford it. The world moves too quickly.
Believe it or not, I've watched interviews with the most successful people of all time, and they all have one thing in common. We need to move fast. Speed is everything. The world's constantly changing and evolving, and we have to keep up, stay on the cutting edge. That's what sets America apart from everyone else. For far too long, we've been protecting countries like Canada, Mexico, Ukraine, hundreds of them. And are they paying us back? Hell no. They took advantage of us because they could, thanks to weak leadership that let it happen. Not only did they not compensate us, they slapped tariffs on American goods. Tariffs were totally fine when they hurt us, but the second we start using them to benefit American citizens, it becomes a huge problem. We're the strongest country on earth, the last bastion of freedom. Marco Rubio nailed it. If it doesn't make us healthier, more prosperous, or safer, we don't do it. This guy's trying to say Rubio's juggling too many roles and can't handle it. Are you kidding? Look at Elon Musk. He runs like 7 massive companies flawlessly because he surrounds himself with the right people. That's exactly what Marco Rubio and Donald Trump are doing. They're building the right framework so they don't have to micromanage. They're putting strong, capable leaders in government positions to make the whole system more effective and get real results for everyday Americans.
I would make about foreign aid. Foreign aid has to be part of our portfolio, part of what we do, and it has to be consistent with our agenda in any region of the world or any country. And oftentimes you will find, and maybe some of you have found when you travel, you go talk to an ambassador and they will tell you what USAID was pushing and what they are pushing in the country are not just different, they're in contradiction. And in many cases, USAID programs were undermining the mission of the embassy. That's a fact, and I heard that over and over again. I've heard it in the Caribbean basin, and I've heard it in other parts of the world. I am not the first Secretary of State that wanted USAID and foreign aid to be under the Department of State. I'm just the first that's been able to do it. And I'm glad we've done it, and it will deliver better foreign policy and, frankly, more accountability and more oversight opportunities for your committee down the road.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that USAID was basically a money laundering operation. The real reason Rep. Meeks is so pissed, they're going after his piggy bank. He's been enriching himself off the backs of hardworking Americans for years, and it's about damn time we audit the federal government and track every taxpayer dollar. Marco Rubio was born for this role. He's strong, capable, and a brilliant communicator who lays out exactly what this administration is trying to achieve. They're painting him as some tyrannical figure overloaded with jobs, but no, his focus is laser sharp on Trump's mission, making America strong, safe, and healthy again. If Rep. Meeks really cared about American welfare, where was his outrage under Biden? That administration was a nightmare for working folks. They prioritized illegal immigrants over native-born citizens, and I didn't hear a peep from him. But the moment Trump puts Americans first and starts rolling out policies to help us, suddenly he's all fired up. How dare you? Give me a break. You're just a partisan hack. If you think Trump and his team are corrupt for dismantling USAID, you're probably part of the problem. They audited every penny of that money, and I'm betting this guy got some kickbacks over the years. They can't stand Rubio, so they're doing everything to throw him under the bus and make him look bad. But he responds with such calm, grace, and smarts. He dismantles their arguments every time because we've got the truth on our side. If you're not hiding anything, it's easy to speak off the cuff and be straight with the public. But when you're withholding info from Americans, that's when you get in trouble. That's why Trump and his crew are the best. They're the most transparent administration in my lifetime, and it's not even close. What do you think? How's Marco Rubio doing in all these roles? Drop your thoughts below. If you dug this, smash that like button, comment, subscribe, and here's to better days ahead. Catch you next time.